Hello again everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now Super Rugby has been going under quite a lot of media attention recently with the talk and discussions about changes that may be happening next year in 2018. Well, they said at the start of this weekend that following the final match of round 7 of Super Rugby they will be making an announcement in regards as to what they will be doing in 2018. So that announcement has just come out. It is currently Sunday night. Hopefully I can get this edited and straight up for you guys to check out to see what I think about this announcement. And for me, I want to know what you guys all think about this announcement as well. So you'll probably already know what I think about this if you follow me on Twitter at CornflakesCrib. If you're not already, get involved. You probably already know what I think about these changes that they want to make and really what they're thinking about when they're coming to these decisions is really what puzzles me. But we're going to be having a look through the article on the Super Rugby website, where they've got an article here stating what was said, what's going to happen, and what the plans are for the future. So I thought we'd go through it together, have a look at how it's going to work, and try and rip it to pieces as best we can. So first things first, if you've not seen the announcement, the headlines quickly state, SANZAAR confirms Super 15 tournament from 2018. Straight away, I can tell you that means 3 teams are going to be going, and before we even read the article, I can give you a hint. It's going to be 1 from Australia and 2 from South Africa. Okay, that's the easy stuff out of the way. Let's get into the article and see that this guy here is the mug that's made this call. Him and his little mug buddies, what are they thinking? What are they... no, I'm not going into that straight away. Let's get into the article. Right. Try and stay composed here. Super Rugby's ruling body, SANZAAR, has announced they will revert to a Super 15 rugby format from the start of 2018 season. Blah, blah, blah. We know it went to 18 teams, whatever. That's not what we want to know. Here we go. The news. As a result, Australia will lose 1 Super Rugby team and South Africa will lose 2 teams. The newcomers, the Jaguares and the Sunwolves, who got a victory this weekend, good for them, will retain their places. Okay, so I'm reading 2 good things about that. The Jaguars and the Sunwolves are going to be kept. That's good things. South Africa, I think, can definitely lose 1 team. 2 teams, that could be detrimental. Australia, I still think Australia needs 5 teams. We all know that teams happen in cycles. Forms are cycles. Look at the Lions. And I'm going to mention the Lions quite a bit through this because it's easy to look at this competition right now and say that team is performing poorly. Whereas 3-4 years ago, everyone was itching for the Lions to get the boot. Now, they are current finalists, and they're on form to pretty much just, go pretty well and possibly back that up 2 years in a row. So, you can't pick on a team for current form all the time. So next paragraph is really the big news. It is widely expected that the Cheetahs, Currie Cup champions, undefeated season. Good call, dickheads. The Western Force, the only team on that whole side of Australia that has a Super Rugby side. So now every Super Rugby team is going to be down on that side of Australia. That also means time zones. I find it ironic how this article talks about how the broadcasters weren't happy with the format, when now, if they don't have the Western Force, they won't have that staggered match time slot throughout, say, Friday or Saturday night to go New Zealand, the East Coast of Australia, and then the West Coast of Australia, or the northern part of Australia, whatever. They can't stagger those 3 time zones anymore. Bang. That's a problem that the broadcasters are definitely going to have to deal with. Following that, the final one, the Southern Kings, well, you can't probably argue the Southern Kings getting chopped from there. Okay, so following on from that, more changes. Super Rugby 15-team format structure. There will be 3 conferences, 5 teams from New Zealand. So from New Zealand, no changes whatsoever. 4 from Australia, 4 from South Africa, 1 from Japan, obviously, and 1 from Argentina. So 3 conferences. We'll get to where those 2 sides, or where those conferences are going to be situated in just a second. That's further down the bottom there. You probably already see it. The restructuring by SANZAAR represents a crucial step in its strategic planning process. Whatever. They had meetings where they couldn't decide what to do. They paid people who knows, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to come up with a future-proof plan of Super Rugby and then throw it out the window. That is bullshit, that they think they have a strategic planning process for Super Rugby. That is rubbish. Absolute crap. Okay, moving on firmly through that because I'm not believing a word of that whatsoever. So their assessment, their assessment highlighted a need to adjust and strengthen Super Rugby in the short term. It ain't going to make a huge amount of difference. Sure, there's probably not going to be one easy beat team in the Kings, but really the Cheetahs are not an easy beat team. The Force are really developing, and I think, by what would have been 2018, 2019, if they are the team gone, they'd probably be quite strong, which is just a real shame. So ensure a robust and sustainable tournament meets all requirements from stakeholders, high performance pathways, game development, commercial revenue. That's all they're worried about. Commercial revenue and fan engagement. I call bullshit on that one as well. Okay, so that's all just talk. That's all just talk. Let's have a look at facts and see how this is going to happen. The changes see an overall reduction of 3 teams from the current format. Obviously, we know that. We've been through all this. Okay, New Zealand Conference, unchanged. Blues, Chiefs, Crusaders, Highlanders, Hurricanes. Simple stuff. Australian Conference. The 4 Australian teams. What Australian teams, we do not know. And the Sunwolves. Okay, so that was predictable. It was either going to go one of 2 ways. I think it was either going to go stay as it was, or it was going to go down to 15. 15 or 16. It's what fits, and the numbers fit in 15, because the South African Conference is 4 South African teams, and the Jaguares, 4 South African teams. That is tough. That is harsh on South Africa. I think they still need 5 teams. It's a real tough one on the South Africans, and we'll probably talk about this more in a second, but the decision of which teams get dropped here are down to the unions themselves. So the South African Rugby Union has to say, we are dropping and whoever, and the Australian Rugby Union has to say, we are going to drop whoever. What happens, and this has already been mentioned on Twitter already, if Australia goes, you know what? No, we're not dropping a team. What if South Africa says, okay, we'll drop the Kings, but why would we drop the undefeated Currie Cup champions from Super Rugby? If anyone deserves a Super Rugby team, ultimately it's them. What happens if they say no? What happens then? We've already seen it once. A couple of weeks ago they had this big meeting and they all talked about it, that they should do this, and if this should happen, what teams would you drop? You probably recall it 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, I can't remember, but they talked about the fact or the possibility of teams being dropped, and no one said anything. Speculation run rife. They were going through the media saying, oh, the Force are gone. Oh, the Rebels are gone. No, the Brumbies are going to go because the Rebels are privately owned and that can't happen. You can't get rid of Western Australian rugby. It's going to be the Brumbies. Oh, it's going to be the Kings. It's going to be the Lions. No one of any stature, of any responsibility, of any resemblance, of any union spoke a word. Are we going to see a replay of that again and see these unions stalemate out and just go, no, you know what, mate, bugger off. Bugger off. Just leave us alone. Just think of all those hundreds of players, hundreds of club members, hundreds of physios, hundreds of staff, security, stadiums, not more than anything. The thousands of fans that are losing out on clubs here. Now I know from my comments, and I know from knowing a few of you guys are massive fans of the Cheetahs, of the Force. Not so many of the Kings, actually, to be honest. But those other 2 teams, definitely. How does that make you feel to have your teams tripped away, especially the Cheetahs? I just can't get over the Cheetahs. They've been a team around for a long time. They've built a huge following. And to just drop them like that. The other ones, well, I talk about on Twitter quite a bit. It's worse to be given something and then have it taken away through no real fault of your own than to have not received it in the first place. This is what's happening here. Teams are getting their clubs ripped away. Fans are getting their clubs ripped away through no fault of their own. Why not just not give them anyway? Why did they expand to 18? Why? They had no plan. They had no structure. They had no idea what they're doing. And do they now? Which is easy to my another point here. Do they have a plan? In 2 weeks' time? In 6 weeks' time? In 2 months' time? In 6 months' time? Will Sanzar come back and say, you know, we've had a bit of bad reaction to this 15-team plan. The broadcasters have come to us and said they're not too happy with what we propose. So we're going to go back to 18 teams and we're going to rethink it next year. That would not surprise me at all if they did that. That's how ridiculous and stupid these guys are. So the possibilities that this might not even go through are quite real. Of course, like I said at the start, this is just my first up opinions on this. I haven't really thought about it, but I've been expecting it. So this is kind of just off the cuff for me. No real planning as to what I'm going to be saying here. Just reading this article with you guys. Trying to understand it myself. Trying to allow you guys to know what's going on as well. Because this affects more than anyone. It affects you. It affects me. It affects Bob, who watches every game on a Friday and Saturday night. It affects the fans. And, you know, Cheetahs fans out there, how much attachment do you find yourselves to any other team? How much interest do you have in Super Rugby now? Knowing that possibly, according to media reports, your team could not be there. Now, it's not easy to go jump on the Bulls or the Sharks or the Lions. They're not your team. Your team's the Cheetahs. Come Curry Cup time and the Cheetahs are back in action. Do you go back to the Cheetahs? Do you adopt a new side? It is a tough situation for fans. It is extremely difficult. But we're going to get back to the article. A lot of things coming up in a row here that I'm talking about. So we're going to carry on here. Like I said, off the cuff. I'm just having a rant. This is a very, very, very calm rant video. So we've got a whole bunch of crap here that these guys have said. Pretty much it's focused on this paragraph. This paragraph here that says Asia has the potential to make us a lot of money. We don't want to lose that. So the Sunwolves are staying. That's really what this whole pile of bullshit here says. Stakeholders, shareholders, money, men with money. That's what it all is about. It's money. Sanzar want money. So this is what all this rubbish is about. They've got a vision. Here we go. This is good. They've got a vision. Sanzar has a vision. Someone had a dream one night. Probably too much alcohol out of the rum cabinet. So, okay. They've got two facets of the future for their tournaments. The first is a requirement to react to existing market forces within the sporting business environment. Money. And to implement short-term changes to Super Rugby. That's what they think they've done. They've made short-term changes. Like I said before. 2 weeks? 6 weeks? 3 months. But the second thing is their long-term plan. Long-term vision, vision. A strategic plan to build the brand that in the future can maximize further development of the game. What is this rubbish? Commercial revenue, money, and the ongoing sustainability of the tournaments. So we're talking about the Rugby Championship as well, but God forbid they even touch that. So really, money, Asia money, money. That's what this is all about. It's all about money. Everything is mentioned about money. Was the tournament doing badly? Is it going to do any better with these changes? Is there going to be more interest? I can definitely say there will not be more interest. As was talked about already. And that's what we're going to go on to next. The actual details of this tournament. Now, I heard things being said like, there will be more local derbies. Well, no, there won't be. The tournament will actually be longer. Which blows your mind. Let's reduce the teams, make a shorter tournament. No. Let's reduce the teams, make it longer. Everyone loves seeing local derbies, so let's not make any more of those. Everyone loves travel, so let's have the teams go on 4-week tours now instead. Let's have a look at it. So the details for next season. 120 match regular season plus 7 match final series. So we'll get to the breakdown of that final series further down the list here. So 15 teams, 3 conferences, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. Obviously, it will be the Sunwolves in Australia, the Jaguares in South Africa. 18 rounds, so currently we only have 17, 2 byes. So now we're going to 18 and 2 byes, a week extra of regular season. How does that benefit anyone here? Each team will play 8 cross-conference matches against 4 of the 5 teams of each of the other 2 conferences. Okay, so does that not make sense? Let's break that down a little bit. So you'll play, say, okay, let's make an example. Let's make an example of the New Zealand team, the Hurricanes, the champions, of course. Let's go off them. So they will play the other 4 New Zealand conference teams twice. So that means they'll play the Highlanders twice, the Blues twice, blah, 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 blah. Then they will play 4 of the 5 teams in Australia. So again, we go back to that thing where luck of the draw comes into it. Who is going to be playing the better teams? Who is going to be playing the weaker teams? Maybe that won't be an issue, but you can still guarantee someone will be playing the Queensland Reds and someone won't be. So 4 of the 5 teams, that means that one of the New Zealand teams won't play the Sunwolves, and vice versa. Then 4 of the 5 from South Africa. So some of them will get a nice little trip to Argentina on the way through, others won't. Someone will always miss out. So pretty much, in summary, every team will play all the other teams except for 2. So all in all, you'll be playing 12 different teams, which is more than what happens now currently, and which is the next part of the breakdown. Each team will play 12 of the other teams within the season. And here's a little stat, 85% of opposition teams, which is up from 70% in 2016. Well, whoop-de shit, do people really want to see overseas opposition? Or do they want to see the local derbies? Would people prefer to see the Hurricanes versus the Chiefs? Or would they prefer to see the Chiefs versus the Sharks? The Chiefs or the Blues versus the Brumbies? What draws the crowds? What draws the people? I think we can probably all agree on what that does. But let me know what you think below about that. What do you prefer to see? The cross-conference matches or the local derbies? That's the big question. And then finally, an 8-team finals series. 3 conference winners. Here we go. Break this down. Whoa, here we go. You were confused before. So let's slow it right down because it's no better. 3 conference winners. New Zealand, Australia, and South Africa. 5 wildcard places. So the 5 next best teams, regardless of conference, just the 5 next best teams based on competition points. Conference doesn't matter. So it could be 4 New Zealand teams and an Australian team. It could be whatever. It's regardless. That's when now a full table, to some degree, will come back into play. The conference winners and the best placed wildcard, so the 4th place team on the ladder points table, will host the quarterfinals. Now, whoa, let's just take it up a step here. Most people have been bitching about it over the last couple of years. The fact that the Brumbies get a conference winner place and get a home quarterfinal, whatever, because they're a conference winner when the Chiefs or whatever down below them in 5th and 6th place have more points. Is that solved? No. It's not solved whatsoever. So the top Australian team is still going to finish 3rd. For example, they will finish 3rd. And most likely, 2 or 3 of the wildcard teams will have more points than that conference winner. It's going to be the same, and we're going to be doing the same thing again next year, going, oh, why is this happening? Why are the Highlanders not in the top spots because the Brumbies are a conference winner? This is dumb, blah, blah, blah. It's what we've seen over the last couple of years. It's going to continue again in 2018. I think I've covered all I really want to say here. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to talk about regards this. Is it a backward step in your opinion? Is this the way forward? Have they strengthened the competition or have they made it weaker? Like I said, I haven't put much planning into this. Announcement come out, and I just thought, I'm just gonna rant my views about this straight away. I don't know if this is better or worse. I think it's definitely worse, especially if the teams they get rid of are the Force and the Cheetahs. I don't care about the Kings. You know that I don't care about the Kings. The Kings are a team through no fault of the actual players for being bad, the Kings have massive internal issues. That's their problem. Players aren't getting paid. Coaches, no one's wanting to go there. No one's wanting to play there. If they're a proper functioning club, they'll probably be half decent by now. But the fact of the matter is, players are leaving, they're not getting what they signed up for, and things are just a mess and a shambles. Again, South African political rubbish going through rugby. So, I don't blame the Kings as a club, because it's not the Kings as the name. You know, it's not because they got bad players, it's just because they're not being run properly. So it is harsh on them as well. It is very harsh, but I do feel way more sorry for the Cheetahs and Force fans possibly out there. Either way, should it be the Rebels that go? Should it be the Brumbies? Should it be the Sharks, the Bulls, whoever? It doesn't matter. There's big fan bases for all those teams. I feel immensely sorry for their fans, especially more than anything else. And of course the players, the staff, and anyone involved with the clubs who had jobs, careers, or what have you. It's still a massive loss. It's still a massive breakdown between the clubs and the communities. Especially the Force is going to be a massive downer. I'm sure there's going to be much more discussion about this. Hopefully, since I'm getting my voice back now this week, we'll have a good Super Rugby review, and we're having guests on over the next few weeks as well. So we'll be hitting the big hard questions at those guys. I would love to have a conversation with some of these guys from Sansa. It would be great, but someone who actually has a bit of, knowledge of why the hell they are doing this. Someone with a bit of responsibility on their shoulders of this as well. Maybe this guy. Who's his name? Andy Marinos. I'm calling you out, Andy. Come get me. That is it for today. A quick look. It's not been a quick look. It's Super Rugby for 2018. I'll see you all next time. Until then, thanks for watching. Leave your comments below what you think about 2018 Super Rugby. Of course, plenty left out, so plenty more to discuss. So leave it below, and I'll see you all next time. Until then, take care.